Welcome to our podcast today, and the title of our podcast is Laciodrom, which basically means have a safe journey. Today we're gonna discuss about some of the myths and misconceptions about the Roma community. Uh, we're gonna try and explain this to the general public, and as well we're gonna discuss about some of the issues which the Roma community are facing. Hello, my name is George. I'm a community worker in Middlesbrough. I'm from the Roma community and from Eastern Europe. And today my guest is Mr. Andy Divers.
Hi, thank you, George. So I'm Dr. Andy Divers, and I'm a research fellow at Teesside University, and I'm also a member of the Roma community. So my dad was Roma, is Roma, and my mum's English. So I was born here, but a member of the Roma community.
Thank you very much for coming today, Andy, to our podcast. And it's a pleasure to have you here. And today in this podcast episode, we will try to answer some of these questions, like why did we do the podcast, what does the title mean, and what it stands for. And in the second section of our podcast episode, we'll have Ben Cedric, which he's a Teesside University student, and who's gonna ask us some questions about the Roma community as well. What does the name of the podcast means? Laciodrom. And I would like to ask you if you know what's the meaning behind this.
Yeah. So I mean, Laciodrom is like have a safe journey or like good journey. I think that's what I always understood it as. So that's kind of, you say it to somebody when they're leaving, when they're going. So I mean, there's a lot of that, obviously, with how the Roma community are. But I mean, you've travelled a long way to get here. So I mean, I'm guessing that's something that you've had to say to people more than once.
Yeah. So from my point of view, even if it looks like a common thing to say, for example, for myself, has a deeper meaning, and you use this phrase Laciodrom, wishing someone Laciodrom, have a safe journey when they depart, and unfortunately due to our culture and our way and our route in life, we had to use too many times this phrase, have a safe journey, Laciodrom. It has a deeper meaning than it usually sounds like. And as you said, yeah, it stands for wishing someone the best on his new journey or the path that he chose. And I think that would be the meaning of the title. If you allow me, I'll ask you a question, Andy.
Hmm.
Andy Prala, and I think as well we have to explain this word. What does this? Because people will hear it a lot. Prala.
Hmm.
It's in English it's brother. When you call someone brother
Hmm.
in Romani language is Prala, uh, which defines better the relationship between two members of the Roma community when they meet most of the time, and if they are close enough, they will use this prala.
Hmm.
Prala meaning brother. I would like to talk a little bit about why did we thought of creating this
Hmm.
uh, podcast, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's one of those things where, particularly because of how I grew up and where I grew up, I grew up kind of, knowing bits about my culture and about my heritage, but not a lot. And I'd never met kind of any other Roma when I was growing up, apart from my family. So when we met, and both discovered that we were both Roma, and the fact that you'd gone to university and you'd kind of done all of that stuff. It's really rare to kind of meet other Roma that kind of have that same outlook and that kind of thing. And I mean, we've got a lot of issues in the Roma community, and we both kind of wanted to do something about that, and it's about educating everybody, kind of Roma. I mean, I had to learn a lot about my own culture, about my own heritage, because that information wasn't there, and it's really hard to learn. And we know different things about the culture from each other, and we've had different experiences. So I've learned loads from meeting you, and it's about wanting other people to kind of get that opportunity, and I think there's a lot of fear, a lot of misconceptions about the Roma community as well, and it's wanting to show the non-Roma community kind of who we are and who we aren't as well. But I mean, how about you? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, and we were talking about the opportunity of um, talking and explaining to the general public, and as well to the Roma community, as you said, because you'll discover the fact that even amongst the Roma community there are certain terms, there are certain aspects that unfortunately people don't know about.
Mhm.
And yeah, the main goal is to uh, talk about some of the myths and misconceptions, and as well issues that are inside the community. It will be a journey for us as well,
Mhm.
as the title of the podcast says, Lachodrom. It's a journey for it's an exercise for us as well,
Mhm.
and together we will go through this journey, hoping that will help the general public to understand better, as you said,
Mhm.
who we are, uh, what we stand for, what values do we have, if we have these the values, and how do we look on ourselves, and on what's our image about the wider society. Uh, but probably we will need different episodes where to talk about certain subjects and other things like that.
Hmm.
I would like to continue um, with with the question which comes into my mind now. Um, why we thought that this podcast will be helpful. How do we why do we reach this conclusion that in this point in time this podcast will be something that people will benefit from.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think a lot of it is just about there's not a lot of understanding in both directions between the Roma community and the non-Roma. I mean, so so the one thing that we're both avoiding saying, I think, and I don't know if you're the same, but we've had general public, we've had non-Roma. We're talking about gadgets, and that is, you know, if we were just talking about that like ordinarily, we'd be saying about, you know, we want to help the Gadgets understand like the Roma, and the Roma understand the Gadgets and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, do you want to talk about?
Yeah, what we're trying to do is to bring both sides on the same table and to be just to clarify this notion as well. This term gajo, it stands for all the non-Roma people, and it's and defines all the other segments of the population which is not part of the Roma community. And of course we will do our best to explain to people as good as we can.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and not only, and we will try to as well explain to our people what are the norms in the UK, what's acceptable to do and what's not acceptable, because I come from Eastern Europe, Andy,
Mm-hmm.
and we come from a different culture, not as different as people would like to think, but there are still some differences. Welcome back to our podcast, Lachodrome. Have a safe journey. Today, one of our guests is a Teesside University student, which I would like to welcome, and I hope we will be able to continue our discussion. Thank you very much for coming, Ben, and nice to have you here.
Yeah, nice to meet you, George.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Andy. Just want to ask you a few questions about your community. What traditions or cultural practices are important to you and your families?
Andy, be my guest.
I mean, family's a huge thing in the Roma community, and, you know, kind of, but not necessarily kind of a family in the same way. So we talked about Prala before, and so like me and George, you know, call each other Prala, and like brothers. So I know when I've kind of moved here, I'm really close with George's family as well, and you know, like that's a really important thing, and just sort of spending time with kind of you and your family. I mean, there's some like feast days and stuff like that. So there's like Edelazy and things like that, but they're not really that big in the UK. I don't think it's ever been a thing, or like Judjavan as well. But I mean, what about you?
Yeah, I would like to start first with what Andy said, and I think it's a general aspect, issue, thing, problem. I don't know how to call it. We call each other Prala. I will start from here, and going back to your question, because you create this bond. Actually, not all the Romas are brothers, and not all the people, unfortunately, are brothers. It should be like that, but unfortunately, just remind me about this. But unfortunately, it is what it is. We'll come back later to that. Ben, so you've asked about important cultural holidays. Yeah. I don't know what about you, Prala, because obviously you are from the United Kingdom and I'm from Eastern Europe, so I can't talk about your experiences, but I can talk about mine.
Yeah.
So mainly the Roma population in Eastern Europe, most of them are Christians, Orthodox or Catholics, and we do celebrate Christmas and Easter, and we even have an international Roma Day, which is on the 8th of April. It's a curious thing because no one told us about that. We found out later in life about that.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not that well advertised or promoted. So mainly we celebrate the Christian holidays. Yeah, we don't celebrate bank holidays, but we celebrate Christmas and Easter, and some of the Roma communities even celebrate after the first week of Easter, or inside the first week after Easter. It's a special day on Thursday. It's like having a reunion with the family and gathering with friends and that sort of event. I hope I've answered your question, Ben. If not, please.
I just want to ask. I say you both celebrate Christmas and Easter. I think living in Middlesbrough, is there any differences between how you celebrate the holidays, or would you say they're quite similar? Like you do things like gift giving and Easter eggs. Is that like something that the Roma community do as well, or are there differences there?
In spite of the fact that people think that we are very different, we are not that different. We like the Easter bunny, we like the Easter eggs, we like the chocolate eggs. The only thing would be, because we are Christian Orthodox, we don't use that much the chocolate Easter eggs or the chocolate Easter bunny. We like the guy, but it's not our cup of tea. We dye the eggs. We use farm eggs, and we dye it in red, which symbolizes the Jesus' blood when he was on the cross. Andy, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not I'm not religious at all, and so we don't really kind of celebrate. I mean, I celebrate Christmas and what have you. Don't really do Easter, but I mean, it depends with a lot of Roma. So like religion can be quite different depending on where you are. So you've got like George said, Christian, but there's also Muslim Roma. So they're Horahane. That's kind of, so they would celebrate Eid and all of those celebrations with the Muslim calendar. And not going too much into it now because it's a whole other subject, but there's a lot of Roma that worship the goddess Kali, who is an Indian Hindu goddess. So that it depends where everybody is as to what they do, but English gypsies are a bit of a mystery to both of us in terms of what they celebrate. And
I would go back and say that I was talking with Andy and we did like a checklist. We said, do we have a flag? Yeah, we do. Do you know how the flag looks like? Then we had both problems to identify that. We found the flag, then we said, let's next stage. What would be the next stage? Do we have an national anthem? Yeah, we do. What's the national anthem? We've found that, and then we said something is missing. What's missing? We said the country, my friend. We don't have a country. Which brings me back to your question, and that's why Andy says, so it depends where you were born or raised, what country, and then most of the Roma community adopted the religion of that country. That's why Andy was mentioning briefly about Horahane. We use this term to define people from the Muslim community and from Turkey, because we call the Romans from Turkey Horahane, which I wouldn't be. I don't know why the Roma community adopted this term, but we'll have to look into it as well. Because as I've told you, Ben, we are on a journey with the podcast itself, and we'll have to see where we'll go. So yeah, depending on what country you were born and bred, most of the Romas will adopt the cultural habits and religion and so on.
Yeah. Are there any common misconceptions about the Roma community that you often encounter?
That's a good question, Ben. It depends where do you want to start, or what do you want to start with. You have to be more specific. Cause
I guess misconceptions about where, like sort of the places where you live, possibly, or like your homes, or that could be a place we could start.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a really good question. I guess, George, my question would be, have you ever lived in a caravan?
I don't know what.
Or a trailer?
That's a different point as well, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
It depends from what point do you want to approach this subject. From the point where people would expect to say, yes, I lived under a couch in a park, a trailer park, with no current electricity and no water, and it depends where you stand from and what your message is to the general public. In my case, Ben, I was how should I put it, not a fortunate. I was privileged to be born in a family who didn't have the pleasure or had to endure the good life of living in a trailer park with no current, water, or electricity, or from this point of view, no, I had I would say a normal childhood, like uh, like every other kid from the non-Roma, from the Gaji community.
Yeah, same. I mean, I've never lived kind of mobile or on the road. I mean, there are still a good number of Roma that do, but I think that's one of the common misconceptions. Like whenever I tell somebody that I'm Roma, they always say, "Oh, do you live in a caravan or a trailer?" And it's like some people do, a lot don't. Most Roma these days live in stationary homes, so it's not, you know.
Yeah, I mean, not all of us like to live in a caravan. We don't find
Yeah.
it comfortable and
Yeah.
uh, so. But this question of yours, Ben, brings me to another subject and to another subject and to another subject, because you see, you have different castes inside the Roma community, and some of these castes, which is related to whatever trade they had in the past. Some of them, because of their trades, yeah. So some of them, they were selling clothes. Some of the Roma, they were selling jewels, and they had to travel, or pots, or kettles, or so they had to travel, and they used the caravans to do that. In my case, we never had to do that because I come from a musician family, and our trade was to perform, if I can say so, and we weren't obliged by our trade to travel too much. What was the question again, please, Ben?
About misconceptions about your community.
About misconceptions about yeah, that's a good question, Ben. We'll have to come back later on this topic because there's a lot to talk about this topic.
What does being Roma mean to you both?
That's a good question, Ben. Who prepared your questions, my friend? Where did you got these questions from? Yeah, again, it depends on what family you were raised in. Were there any influences? Did your family, parents told you what does it mean to be a Roma? Why would you define yourself as being a Roma? Only because of the color of your skin, or is it something particular? What makes you to say about yourself that you are a Roma, or what do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it was always something that I was told from a really young age, and my dad especially spoke to me a lot about being Roma, and then I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where I think when I was little, I didn't really understand too much about what it was. But, you know, like that's what my dad had sort of said. And then when I started talking about it at school, other people's issues with it kind of made me kind of harden around that. And, you know, because I didn't understand why people were having issues with, you go to school and you'd say you were Roma, and then they go like, oh, you mean you're a gypsy? And then it was like all these misconceptions that we sort of talked about. And I think if somebody tells you that you're bad for being something, it kind of makes you want to be that more. Maybe that isn't the same with other people, but yeah, like
You see, you've touched there a very sensible subject, Andy Prava. Because the distinction between being a Roma and a gypsy, how many people would know what a Roma mean?
yeah,
And how many people knows about or presume they know what a gypsy is, or why you are a gypsy and you are not a Roma.
yeah.
But again, we'll have to come back to this subject in a later episode and explain all this.
There's loads, but I think for me, when I look at the culture and the history of kind of Roma people and our community, it's something that I'm just immensely proud of. Sort of how, you know, we originated in India. There's all that travel, all that culture. There's so much diversity within the Roma culture that, like, I'm proud of being part of that and having all of that kind of history and culture. And there are things that I think we do that are amazing, like, and you know, the way that the community can be, and everybody sort of being really close and kind of having that. There's bad sides to it as well, and there's things from other cultures that that are really important to kind of bring. But there's something about being part of that that's really, like, really important for me, and that's something that I
the familiarity which you'll be able to find no matter where you'll go, at least in Europe, because I've did some travel in the last 20 years. It's not a stereotype, because people used to say that Roma people used to travel a lot. It was just my personal journey. And what I can tell you, Ben, is no matter where you'll go in Europe, in France, in Spain, in the Netherlands, Italy, you'll always find this familiarity between the Roma community. Always friendly and helpful, but being Roma or being part of the Roma community, it's not linked to certain features or to certain I don't know what would be a good example, but it's more like being a Roma. It's something which is more in your heart and in your mind and in your way of understanding things. You can define yourself as being Roma, but this will come a little bit later on when you'll realize if you really feel like you're part of this community or not.
Yeah. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you.
Ben, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you both. Thank you.
Before we go, I'd like to ask you a short question or something which will help me and help people who are not from England and their first language is not English to make us understand better. And I think it will have to be a recurrent thing where we can, because we hear a lot of expression. I mean, the English language which we were taught in schools, and it's not the one that you actually hear on the streets. And I was always wondering myself, what does this idiomatic. I think it's called. Please correct me, so Mr. Andy, if I'm wrong, doctor.
Yeah.
What does this "it is like it is" means? Because
Yeah.
I will tell you my understanding. When I heard this, "it is what it is," I thought it's something in connection with William Shakespeare, the thing where he says to be or
Not to
not
be.
to be. That is the question. So if you could please explain us, and Ben as well.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that you've kind of made it Shakespearean. Do you know what? It's just, and again, like you say, I think English people in particular aren't very direct with a lot of things, and so there's not that kind of saying what you mean. They hide it behind a few layers of kind of politeness. But basically, when somebody says it is what it is, they just mean like tough. That's what's happening. There's nothing you can do about it. Don't ask me about it again. Don't question. You're like, it is what it is, and then move on. This is how things are. No, is that kind of your understanding of it as well?
Yeah,
Ben?
that's what I'd say.
Yeah. So when somebody tells you it is what it is, basically, that's the end of the conversation. Just put up and shut up is, or put up or shut up is kind of similar. So you either put up with it or, shut up. But basically, they don't want to hear from you anymore about it. It is what it is.
Yeah, can you imagine what would have been this situation, my friend, if we would have complied to this with the Roma population? To it is what it is. I wouldn't be here. 3,000 kilometers away.
Yeah,
To it is, just to stick to it is what it is. It's not a motto which would apply to us, my friend. Not something which could motivate you.
No, it's the opposite of motivation. It is what it is. Just
and I was thinking that to be or not to be.
Yeah.
So you see, we have to do this.
there's loads.
Next in the next episode. If you want to add anything else, Ben.
Yeah, I'd say that's what the definition of is what it is, kind of focusing on what you can and can't control. If something's bad that's out of your control and you just have to get on with it, that's how I define it as well. I have a catchphrase corner in the future to try and figure out all the catchphrases. I have to put on catchphrase with Stephen Mulhern or whatever, and we can try and break down them all for George.
That would make a huge difference for me, because then I would be able to understand more of what people are talking between themselves and immerse myself in the English culture as well, to be able to understand better what's happening around me. So on this note, dear friends, I would like to thank you very much, both of you, for being here today.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Welcome again to our podcast Laciodrome. We hope to have you here in the next episodes as well. And how do we say? God bless you, and Acel Devlesa.
Acel Devlesa, para.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.